Hare Krishna. So Simon, is it?
That's correct, yeah.
Simon and
Barty.
Darcy.
Barty.
Barty. Oh yes, of course. Barty. I'm sorry. I'm a little deaf. Well, welcome for your first time here. I hope it's a pleasant entry into our little group. I want to read something by Srila Prabhupada and then talk a bit about it. If you bear with me, it's a few paragraphs, but it's something that Srila Prabhupada dictated. He spoke this way back in 1966 in New York, where he went to New York in 1965 to fulfill the instructions of his spiritual master to spread the chanting of Hare Krishna in the Western world. And his first year there was very difficult. He was an old man when he went. He turned 70 on the way, and had 2 heart attacks on the boat while he was traveling, but he survived those. And then the first year in America was very difficult. He had no real support, he had no contacts. He went with no funds, simply depending on Krishna and the protection that comes from the instructions that you get from your spiritual master. So in 1966, he had some friends who arranged for him to get a fixed accommodation. And then it was just a little storefront. Actually, the storefront we have here is quite big compared to the storefront at 26 2nd Avenue in lower west side of Manhattan Island. There was a little courtyard behind and a little apartment for him in the back. So he started holding regular programs in the storefront, and gradually 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40 people started to come on a regular basis. And somebody arranged, and then he started chanting like we were chanting here now in a park nearby, Thompson Square Park in, again, lower west side. And I'm not exactly sure how it was, but somebody came forward and offered them to, offered him and the devotees at that time, his followers at that time, to make a record. In those days, an LP, 33 1/3 long playing record. Apparently they're having a big revival. Vinyl records, 33 1/3 long players in a sleeve, always with some artwork on the cover. So anyway, it was called the Happening album. Happening was it was quite a buzzword in the 60s. And what's happening, man? What's happening? How did my friend from Brixton say? Whappen, man. Whappen. What happened? What's happening? Whappen, man. So the Happening album, and there was chanting and so forth on it. But then at one point, Srila Prabhupada spoke. And you can find the recording of this. It's very beautiful to listen to. And that album, there's two interesting little stories come from that album. One is that In 1967, somehow or another, George Harrison heard it, and he ordered several copies of it and took it back to, he was in America, and he went back to England, and he and the Beatles were listening to it a lot. And he had no other contact with devotees. This was 67. He didn't have any contact with devotees until in 1968, 6 devotees went to London to, and with the express intention of somehow or another contacting the Beatles, with the idea that if they could get famous people like the Beatles to chant Hare Krishna, then many people would take up the chanting, which is something Krishna says as a principle in the Bhagavat Gita, that whatever a great person will do, the common people will follow. And that's of course that's a two-edged statement, because you might be a great rascal, yes, but there's an attractiveness about rascaldom as well. And so you may become the follower of somebody who takes you to not such a good place. But also it can be a good thing. A person of good character who becomes famous can influence the lives of many people. And who said dreams don't come true? Dreams come true, can come true. And so they started baking cakes and pies, apple cakes and apple pies, and sending them down to the Apple Record building, where it was the headquarters of the Beatles at that time, and their whole business empire that they were foolishly trying to develop, which collapsed eventually. But then one of the devotees was there one day, and George Harrison, in a waiting room kind of situation. There's always people milling around trying to get a glimpse of one of the Beatles, or trying to get their song accepted by them, or whatever, all kinds of situations. So he was there, this Shyam Sundar, he was there, just sitting in the room waiting like everyone else. And George Harrison came in. And as soon as he saw Shyam Sundar, he came over to him, straight to him, said, "Where have you been? I've been looking for you people for 2 years." And then he explained how he got that album and was listening to it, and he was chanting Hare Krishna already. And that led to him cutting another album with the devotees called the Radha Krishna Temple album. Radha Krishna Temple album. And it had a picture of Radha Landanishwara on the cover. And that record went worldwide. Now, we don't think, oh, worldwide, big deal, you know, we can call anybody anywhere on the planet and see their picture and talk to them, their moving picture, and talk to them now. But in 1968, for something to have a worldwide effect, it was quite that's a big thing. It's the way communication was and so on. I first heard that album in Adelaide, South Australia, in 1971. So that's planet waves, as they used to say in those days. Planet waves. Very big impact. All from this little album Prabhupada went to a studio one night and made with the devotees. And the other story about that is that many years later, I think it was 6, 7, 8 years later even, the man who made the album for them, the devotees kind of just lost track. Things developed, attention went elsewhere, and that was that. As far as they were concerned, they just made the album. And then Prabhupada showed up, this man showed up one time to meet Srila Prabhupada, and he had a check for a lot of money from all the royalties from the sale of the album. So that was the happening album. And as I said, this is something you can, apart from the rest of the album, I recommend you find this and listen to this. I'd play it today, but I think Prabhupada's accent is a little something you have to get used to. You can get used to it too, simply by hearing it for some time. But he said this, and this is in apropos of this chanting that we all just did. The transcendental vibration established by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by the material atmosphere. The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. Maya means that which is not. And what is this illusion? The illusion is that we are all trying to be lords of material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, this is called illusion. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature. But actually, we are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent on her. This illusory struggle against material nature can at once be stopped by the revival of our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of the living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived. And this process of chanting Hare Krishna is recommended by authorities for this age. By practical experience also, we can see that by chanting this Maha Mantra, or the great chanting of deliverance, one can at once feel transcendental ecstasy from the spiritual stratum. When one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of sense, mind, and intelligence, one is situated on the transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, surpassing all lower stages of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. There is no need, therefore, to understand the language of the mantra, nor is there any need for mental speculation or any intellectual adjustment for chanting this Maha Mantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in this transcendental sound vibration without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen it practically, that even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part in it. We just had some dogs up there. As soon as the chanting started, they were whoa, whoa, whoa. And they weren't angry, they were whoa, whoa, whoa. Pretty good, huh?
I think one was very angry.
Sorry?
I think one was very angry.
Well, he was a little guy. Yeah. Little guys always get angry. because they want to be big guys. But we're all little guys. Hare Krishna. The chanting should not be heard, however, from the lips. The chanting should be heard, however, from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that the immediate effect can be achieved. As far as possible, chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided, as much as milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. The word Hare is a form of addressing the energy of the Lord, and the words Krishna and Rama are forms of directly addressing the Lord himself. Both Krishna and Rama mean the highest pleasure. Hara is the supreme pleasure potency of the Lord. This potency, addressed as Hare, helps us in reaching the Supreme Lord. The material energy, called Maya, is also one of the multi-potencies of the Lord. And we, the living entities, are also the energy, marginal energy of the Lord. The living entities are described as superior to material energy. When the superior energy is in contact with the inferior energy, it becomes an incompatible situation. But when the superior marginal energy is in contact with the supreme spiritual energy, called Hara, the living entity is established in its happy, normal condition. These three words, namely Hare, Krishna, and Rama, are the transcendental seeds of the Mahamantra. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and his internal energy, Hara, for giving protection to the conditioned soul. The chanting is exactly like the genuine cry of a child for its mother. Mother Hara helps the devotee achieve the grace of the Supreme Father, Hari, or Krishna, and the Lord reveals himself to the devotee who chants this mantra sincerely. No other means of spiritual realization is as effective in this age as chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's nice, wasn't it?
No, that's amazing.
Lucidly clear, very clear, very simple, very straightforward, very unpretentious. And everything he says here is true. True. You don't have to believe this. It's not that we are propagating a system of belief. This is knowledge. This is knowledge. Direct knowledge, as it says, enacted directly from the spiritual platform. That's a fact. Krishna exists. Krishna exists. And he's easily approachable. He's easily approachable through this chanting. You can conduct an experiment. Take this mantra, take it home with you. Take it home and sit down in a private place where you're not going to be disturbed by anyone else, and you don't have to put on a performance. We all have to perform. We all have to act. We have to act in certain ways to get our needs met. We have to act in certain ways to placate other people. We have to act in certain ways to dominate other people. Everyone's an actor. Everyone's an actor. But you don't, and we have to perform, but we're all actually someone else in private. We all have a private self. And that private self, we don't necessarily reveal it to other people very often. Only in very secure, intimate situations where we feel protected and we feel that we won't be exploited or we won't be teased or made fun of in any way. We can be ourselves. Be ourselves. So, my advice is that my suggestion, I don't want to think that I can make advice. I would suggest at any time, even for experienced devotees, you have time, you give yourself time to do this as regularly as possible, even just for some time. You just, like I say, put yourself in a situation that's very private, where, so far as you're concerned, it's just you there. And then there's a saying called suspension of disbelief. You might not believe, when I say Krishna exists, you might not fully believe that. You might not even accept that. You might think, well, that's your belief. You believe that. But there's a difference between believing something to be true and knowing something to be true. And you can know that Krishna exists by this little experiment that I'm going to suggest, that you sit in this private place on your own and you chant Hare Krishna. As if what I'm saying to you is true. And you ask Krishna to reveal himself through this sound vibration. And then you chant. Now, in that thing we just read, Prabhupada says, it's like what was the phrase? About the child? It's like sorry? I've got a terrible memory these days. Like the genuine call of a child for its mother. Genuine, yes. The chanting is exactly like the genuine cry of a child for its mother. So mother, you know when it's genuine and you know when it's a performance for some manipulative purpose. Yes? Yes? And we've all been there, we've all done it. We all know how to do it. To act in such a way to get the attention that we want. But when the child is genuinely needing you, you know it, don't you? You know it. And what do? You respond immediately and quickly. Yes? Yes. So this is the situation. Krishna, and coming back to George Harrison, he went on to write some very beautiful songs about Krishna and about Krishna consciousness. That was, again, a couple of years after that Radha Krishna Temple album. He released My Sweet Lord. My Sweet Lord. Again, that went all over the world. That 1971 was I didn't realize it at the time, but it was a major turning point in my life. Because one night going home from one party, I was listening to the radio and on came My Sweet Lord. I didn't know what I was listening to, and the whole Maha Mantra is in that song. I didn't know what the Maha Mantra was or anything. And then at the end of the year, a New Year's Eve party, somebody brought the Radha Krishna Temple album. I listened to it all night. So, and then later he brought out his triple album, All Things Must Pass. And there's several songs on there that are directly about Krishna consciousness. by chanting the name of the Lord, you'll be free. So you just be real about it. If you want it. If you really want it. If you really want to see that this is true, then just be real about it. Be real. And just open up your heart. Open up your heart. That's a hard thing to do in this world, to open up your heart. Because everybody's heart's been beaten and bashed. Made hard. You have to be hard-hearted in many ways now, just to survive, just to get by. But the natural condition of the heart is softness. Just like the natural condition of water is liquidity. But we see under certain circumstances, it becomes hard. And under other circumstances, it vaporizes. But in both situations of vaporization or hardening, immediately that's done, immediately water is precipitating back into the liquid form. So our hearts are meant to be soft. The heart is for love. We all know that. We all know that. The heart is for love. You give your heart to something. So, Krishna's in your heart. Krishna's in your heart. And he's observing everything you're doing, everything you're saying, everything you're thinking, everything that you want, he's aware of. So if you want him to reciprocate with you, you ask him to. Ask him to. And then you chant this mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And he will reciprocate. Because he describes himself in Bhagavad Gita as the Surit Satam. Satam means all. Surit means the dearmost friend. The dearmost friend of all living entities, regardless of what your present condition is. He's the dearmost friend of every living entity. And he wants the best for everybody. And the best is to come back to him. Come back into your eternal relationship with him. We are all eternal beings. Krishna is an eternal being. He is the supreme being upon which all other living beings depend. That's a fact. That's a fact. And he describes himself as the father of all living entities. The father. And the father loves his children. And father and mother, it's not the natural state is that the father and the mother love their children. That's natural. So he loves everyone. And he wants us all to be with him again. We all were once with Krishna. We're all a part of Krishna's family, and we were all with Krishna. But for many, many, many long years, we've been here in this material world, in forgetfulness of that. For pursuing happiness in all kinds of situations that only bring us misery. And there's infinite variegatedness in the material world. That's one of the mysterious, mystical things about the creation of Krishna. This is a creation. The material world is a creation. It didn't exist. It's been brought into existence, and it will cease to exist. It's a limited temporary place. But within this limited situation, there's infinite variety of things you can do, places you can go. But all of them, all of the places, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, these are all places of misery in which the repetition of birth and death is taking place. Srila Prabhupada wrote one really beautiful little book, Beyond Birth and Death. We can get beyond birth and death, back to the spiritual platform on which there's no birth. We've never been born. And we will never die. But while we are in this conditioned state, with, as Prabhupada says, with a polluted consciousness, and that the basis of that pollution is our misidentification with our bodies and our minds. So this chanting, as it said, is enacted from the spiritual platform. It brings us back into transcendental awareness, if we wanted to. It's personal. If you want this, Krishna will give it to you. If you really want it, Krishna will give it to you. At any time, in any place. But you have to know that. You have to experience that. It's not that we're armchair philosophers kicking around a few concepts. It might be like this, it might be like that. This is one thing that for me, when I first read when I first got one of Srila Prabhupada's books, it's Srimad Bhagavatam, and I read just the preface. Again, another one of those pivot points in life. Just took a couple of pages, took a few minutes to read it, but my life changed as a result of that, because this person knows what he's talking about. He's not speculating. He's not a snake oil salesman trying to do some fast deal with you. He's speaking the truth. And he's presenting it plain and simple. So you put yourself in this little private cubbyhole of yours and chant Hare Krishna and ask Krishna to reveal himself to you. Please let me know that you are real. Please let me know that you are there. And if you're serious and sincere, only once, just once, serious and sincere, because our minds shift and we forget things, but Krishna doesn't. Krishna doesn't. And he's very kind, very kind. And he understands how we're troubled in this world, how our minds are troubled, especially in this age. We're short-lived, we're lazy, we're misguided, we're unfortunate in so many ways. But above all, the atmosphere is such that we are always disturbed. The mind is always disturbed by something. But Krishna understands that. He understands that perfectly well. He's not disturbed by anything. This material energy is under his control. It's under his control. He's not under the control of the material energy. We are. We are under control here. We might rebel and say, well, nobody controls me. Nobody controls, yes, but that's just actually nonsense when you look at it. That's nonsense. I made the point the other morning here in the class that we talk about controlling the material nature, but we can't even control the call of nature. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And there's nothing you can do about that. And when you have to die, you have to die. When the end of this life comes, that's it. There's nothing you can do. You can't make a deal. You can't buy your way out of it. You can't talk your way out of it. You can't run away from it. You have to accept it. But when you become enlightened with that knowledge by which your ignorance is destroyed, you understand, oh, it's not happening to me. It's just the body. It's just I'm changing my dress. I have to give up my old and useless clothes and put on new ones. Oh, this body will become old and useless. Believe me, this old body will become old and useless. But nobody wants that. The reason why nobody wants that is because it's not true that this is me, that this is happening to me. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live forever. Nobody wants to get old. Everybody wants to be young. Nobody wants to get sick. These things are actually alien to us. But we're very much now strangers in a strange land, foreigners in this world, in this foreign atmosphere. But as Prabhupada says, this chanting is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, and it puts you directly in touch with Krishna again, on that platform. Directly in touch with Krishna, your dearmost friend. Krishna is the dearmost friend of everyone. I was just, last year I spent some time, for those who know him, Indradumna Swami. And he was talking about, on one occasion, Srila Prabhupada was asked, what's the meaning of this mantra? And here he gives the meaning of the words. You heard that Hare, Rama and Krishna. But he surprised everybody and he usually says, O Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. But Indradumna Swami told the story, and I took him at his word. I didn't bother looking it up. But he said on this one occasion, somebody asked him, what's the meaning of this mantra? And Prabhupada said, oh, my friend, my friend, my friend. My friend. So that's another thing you take into your little private corner with you. This proposition that here's my dearmost friend. He's come to me. Any songwriters here? You write songs, Jaga? No? Java? Who? Hare Krishna Das write songs, doesn't he? He's not here today.
Mahamantra.
Mahamantra, sorry, Mahamantra. We should get Mahamantra because I keep thinking of lines from popular songs. I think, well, we could make that Krishna conscious. And there was a song, again, back in the 60s called The Sounds of Silence. Does anybody know that song? Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. So you Krishnaize that song and say, hello, Krishna, my old friend. I've come to be with you again. Because Krishna's come to be with us again. This Mahamantra is non-different from Krishna. And he's manifesting himself to us. We're already manifesting to himself to us. We're just not sure what it is we're hearing. But if we open our hearts, let your heart soften to this. Trust this. Because when it comes down to it, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? You go and sit somewhere quietly and do this. What do you got to lose? We're not charging anyone. I remember before I met devotees, I got a little bit involved with the transcendental meditation people. First thing you walk through the door to get a mantra is, that'll be $35, please. And you had to pay. And what did you get? You got a seed mantra from the Gayatri mantra. That's one word. Aim, aim. And then you're supposed to sit, close your eyes, and silently say, $35. And if you want to go further and you want to know more about it, well, you've got to pay for a course. And then they'll teach you how to levitate. $3,500. And on it goes. But this is free. This is free. Take this mantra, take it into your life. And like I'm saying, you don't have to believe a word I'm saying. You put it to the test on your own terms. Or rather, put it to a test in a scientific way. There's certain controls they have, the scientific method. You make a hypothesis, and then you set up certain controls, and you conduct an experiment, and you observe the results. And then you may adjust your hypothesis, or you see, oh, it proves my hypothesis. But then you have to do the experiment many times to see whether it's consistent, or maybe there was something inconsistent in what you were doing. But once you start to see you get the same result over and over and over and over again, and you see the difference that it makes to you, the difference it brings in your consciousness, the difference in the way you feel in your heart, and then you have the evidence. The evidence. It's a subjective experience, just like eating a meal. Eating a meal. Or like George Harrison said, you don't need a lawyer. You don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need the other. By chanting the name of the Lord, you'll be free. That's true. You'll become free. Free in your consciousness, free from doubt and fear, which pervades the mind of everyone in this world. Doubt and fear. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the first statements that the speaker of the Bhagavatam, the teacher of the Bhagavatam, says is, this is the doubtless and fearless way for all. Doesn't matter who you are, or where you're from, or what your state of mind is, what your state of body is, what your background is, what your education is, what your star sign is. It doesn't matter what your condition is materially. This is the doubtless and fearless way. Or the way to doubtlessness and fearlessness arising from our material contact. Because here everything's uncertain. We're dealing with uncertainty all the time. And we don't know whether where we're going to get from A to B. You head off someplace, you don't know you're going to get there. This is the total, ever-present uncertainty of material existence. But this sound vibration brings us directly in contact with the spiritual platform of existence. And on that platform of existence, we become reunited with Krishna. Reunited. And Krishna is our friend. You can trust him. You can trust. Now that, again, back in the day, there was a movie called Lucky Man. And the song was, if you have a friend upon whom you can rely, you're a lucky man. Lucky. So we're very lucky, very fortunate people that we're here and we're hearing this and we're acting on it. Very fortunate people. And we know something as a result of this. You will know this to be true by your own experience. And that's something nobody can take away from you, is your experience. Good or bad, it's your experience. Again, there's another old song called They Can't Take That Away From Me. And it was a man reminiscing about a love in the early days of his life and the exchanges that went on. The way we danced till 3, something, the way you wore your hair, all these things he's remembering. He says, no, they can't take that away from me. That's my experience. Your experience is your experience. But you've got to want it. You've got to really want it. And then you have to be careful, because the material energy won't just let you go just like that. She's really got a hold on us. Another song. Unchain my heart and set me free. Unchain your heart. Allow your heart to become unchained. We're chained to the material world. But this chanting breaks those chains. Breaks those chains. And you feel that. Can you imagine how you would feel if you were chained up in a semi-dark place for a very long time, and then suddenly somebody came, turned up the dimmer switch, the light came on, they had a key, they unlocked the chains and set you free. How would you feel? I'll tell you frankly, you chant this mantra sincerely with that desire, and you will feel the chains that bind your heart are broken, and you are free. In your heart. We're still here. We still have to live out this life. But now we know something else. We know the truth of our existence. And then Krishna says, you live out your life in this way, thinking of me, depending on me, working for me. Give your heart to me, give your life to me. And he says, for such a person, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. It's personal. It's very personal. And that's another shocker for us all. Me? Down here, a little insignificant me? What is it? I'm just another brick in the wall. Who notices me? Who cares about me? What about me? That's another song. What about me? It isn't fair. What about me? Everybody's lost and alone in this world, or feels lost and alone, and wants companionship and shelter. And we might think we've got it in this relationship or that relationship or whatever, but it's all temporary. But here's the Supreme Being, the Supreme Eternal Master of all, the Father of all living beings, who just happens to be our dearmost friend. And he wants you back in that relationship. He wants you back. Nobody dreamed this Hare Krishna business up. Nobody dreamed
It appears that you're getting at the spiritual
That's
idea
okay.
that our
It's
true
okay.
consciousness is inherently divine. And that's good.
I'll get back to you. It's all true. It's all true. You just have to want it. You just have to really want it. So that will take some courage in the face of everything that blows in your face with scorn in this world. It will take some courage, but as they say, there's strength in numbers. So we have international society for Krishna consciousness. You're not alone. You need the alone experience in order, I mean, I don't know about you, but I wasn't a joiner. I wasn't going to join anything. I'd given up on all this joining business, clubs, societies, churches, anything. But I joined because I had that personal experience. And then I entered the society of devotees. We have a society here. You're not alone. That's an illusion. Because when you go and sit in that private place, you realize you're not alone. That your dearmost friend is always with you, has always been with you. And entering into the society of devotees and hearing the testimony, the witnessing that comes from other devotees, from their personal experience, you say, yes, it's true. This is true. It's not just that I've had this experience now. Hundreds, thousands, millions of people all over the world are having this experience. So take it. It's free. Take it. By chanting the name of the Lord, you be free. Okay? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare.
And even if you think they're completely loose and possibly in relationship to one relationship or another, is it true that the mind will try and trick you into thinking that they're still attached, even though you know in your heart that they're not attached?
The mind is vast. Every single thing you've seen and smelt and tasted and touched and heard, and every situation you've ever been in, every transaction with other living entities in countless lifetimes in the material world, is all there in the mind.
Wow.
And the mind's business is not to trick you. The mind is to serve you. And all the things that are there in the mind are things you wanted. We don't have to be in this world. We want to be in this world. So when you come into this world, you have to accept the kit, the outfit. It's called mind, intelligence, false ego, and then a gross body over that. That's it. Here's your equipment. Now go for it. And so we go for it. And what do we want? We want pleasure. We want pleasure. So you have to train the mind. You have to educate the mind. Not think, oh, this mind is some conscious entity that's trying to trick me. The mind is saying, well, what about this? What about this? You like this? What about this? What about this? And the mind is just like this huge repository, like a vast library. And it's on autopilot. And it's like, what is it like when you can like program to play songs random or what? Shuffle.
Yeah.
Right. So the mind's like a huge I mean, this is like a mind. This is like a mind. It's like it's a library, and you can put it on shuffle. Just like I just hit the wrong button there. So the mind will just maybe pull out a file from 300 million years ago, and I said, "Ooh, what about this?" Ooh.
Wow.
And that's natural because that's what it does. So, conditioned. Yeah. We are conditioned. So this is a process of deconditioning and reconditioning. Prabhupada gives a simple example of a glass of black ink, and then you start to pour in some milk. And immediately there's a change. There's all shades of grey, but there's also overflow. So it gets a bit messy sometimes. You have to understand that, because there's a principle called vastu. There cannot be two things in the same place. Like I'm sitting here, you can't sit here. You may sit on top of me, and somebody else, you see that, people, how many people can you get in they don't do it now because they don't exist, but they used to have that thing. How many people can you get in a phone box? Right. So all these people are all, but even then, where I am in the pile, you can't be. So you can't have two things in the one place. So if the glass is full of black ink, it's full of black ink, but as soon as you start to put in the milk, then you've got a change taking place. And like I said, there's all kinds of shades of grey, and there's overflow, displacement. Because you can't just empty the mind. That's the mistake of impersonalist meditation, that you just empty the mind. The mind and all this mind and this body and all this is all your cause of suffering. So just empty it out. Void it out. You can't do it. You can't do it. Just like a house, you can dismantle a house, but then it's gone. Where do I live? This is based upon a poor fund of knowledge. So where there was once Krishna consciousness, it's now been covered. It's still there, but it's covered by this. But you have to displace all this false stuff from your mind. And the way you do that is by focus. Focus. The way if you want to be successful at anything, you got to focus on it. Right? Focus. And so it's said, from wherever and to whatever the mind will wander, and it will. What is that Beatles song? I'm fixing a hole where the rain comes in and stops my mind from wandering. Where it will go. I just want it to go. Just let me ride this mind thing around. This is cool. And let me just take this little bit of enhancement of that and then just let it go. And we're trapped, we can be trapped on that platform of the mind. This says, this is above the senses, it is above the mind, it is above the intelligence. It's on the level of your consciousness. So you have to focus, you have to practice focusing. And gradually, and then, like, the more you do something, the better you get at it. I saw an interview with Denzel Washington, and the person who was interviewing him was obviously a fan. They were glorifying him, saying, "Oh, he's such a great actor, you've done this, you've done that." And Denzel's there, and he just shrugs. He says, "Well, you do something long enough, you'll get good at it." That's a fact. You just follow the recipe. I used to go to Ireland years ago, and there was a young devotee there. Belfast Temple was always in a state of collapse in terms of manpower and so forth. So he was a bhakta. He wasn't even initiated devotee, but he was a sincere boy, and they had no one else. So you have to cook for the deities. So I'd been, I used to visit there, and I'd been there a couple of days, and he came in after the Raj Bhog offering with a plate of prasadam for me. And I started eating, I said, "What's this?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know, I just do what I can. I find this and that and put it together." So I got him Jamuna's cookbook, and I gave it to him. I said, "You just follow the recipes in this book." So shortly after that, he got initiated, then he got second initiated, and then he kept cooking every day. So for one reason or another, I stopped going. This was back 2012. I stopped going to Belfast. And then a couple of years ago, maybe 2024, 12 years after that, my wife, who's very close friends with Guru Charana Padma, Kripa Moya's wife, was on a phone call with her, and she said, "Oh, we were in Belfast last week, and there's this devotee there who cooks for the deities." She said, "It's the best Raj Bhog I've ever eaten." And she said to him, "Where did you learn to cook like this?" And he said, "Bhagavat Ashraya." And my Guru Charana Padma knows Sava Mangal is a fabulous cook, right? So when you're married to a person, I don't ever had to cook. I'm a good kitchen hand, I can cut the veggies up and everything. And so Guru Charana Padma knows this. She says, "What are you talking about? Bhagavat Ashraya can't cook." And she said, "No." He said, no. He showed me this recipe book, and I followed the recipes. And like the saying goes, when all else fails, read the instructions. Yeah. That's all. So the instructions are very simple. Chant Hare Krishna. Just chant. Just chant. Just chant. And then the mind has to get used to that. It's foreign to the mind. And the mind is conditioned. No, but you like this, you like this, you like this, you like this. The mind's just a servant, and we've been filling it up with garbage. You can't blame the mind. Can't blame it. The mind is full of garbage you put there. The mind in the first contact with the material element called manas, the mind is in the mode of goodness. But we fill it up with the mode of ignorance. Yeah? We put the black ink in. And that originally displaced the milk that was there. So then you come back and put the milk in again. I had a friend, Atma Tattva, he's a very clever man. And he was talking about Prabhupada once. And he said, Prabhupada was such a great mystic yogi. Mystic yogi. He came into the material world and he manifested the spiritual world. And he brought us from the material world inside that spiritual world, which was inside the material world. And now we're in it. We're such great mystic yogis that inside the spiritual world that's inside the material world, we again manifest the material world. So you have to stick with it. You have to understand what's going on, and don't take it too seriously, and don't take it personally. And just keep coming back to the simple instruction. Chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and be happy. And you will be happy. two things, the promotion Prabhupada gave. There were two. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and be happy, or and your life will become sublime. Become. We're all in a state of becoming. Yeah? Don't become perplexed. Don't become bewildered. Don't become confused. That's why there's a society of devotees. Because within the society, the cycle of life is there. And like he's saying, my wife and I, we've been doing this for more than 50 years. Big deal. So what? But what we have is, we're no different. I'm very careful about this. You have to keep your feet on the ground and understand, as the saying goes, there but for the grace of God, go you or I. We're here by the grace of God, and experience will tell you over and over and over again, this is true. So you have to stick with it. And again, people who succeed at something are people who fail more than anyone else, but they don't give up. Yeah? And a perfect example of that is Ashraya Prabhupada. He never gave up. And here we all are. Yeah? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I want to ask you.
Hello. You're very pretty.
Thank you very much.
You look very, very nice.
Thank you. I just want to know when the spiritual being exteriorized from the body, what's happened between lives?
Oh, that's a big subject. But basically,
Yeah.
we go into another body.
Okay, very simple.
Simple.
Good.
But that body
Yeah.
is awarded to us
Yeah.
on the basis of an analysis of our activities.
Okay. What we have done previous life.
Yeah,
Okay.
in this life. You're actually preparing your next
Yeah.
body in your mind
Okay.
now.
All right.
That's why Krishna says, you think of me. Because he says, whatever you think of at the time of your death,
Yeah.
that state you will attain in your next life. And we think about what we are habituated to think
Yeah.
about. So we have to develop the habit of thinking about Krishna.
Okay.
And then Krishna says, if you do that, you will come to me.
Okay. All right.
Yes?
Okay.
So it's a practice.
All right.
Practice thinking about Krishna.
All right.
Yes?
Very good.
Hare Krishna. As the embodied soul passes in this lifetime, this
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
from childhood to youth to old age,
Yeah.
the soul similarly passes into another body at death.
Yeah.
The self-realized soul
Mm-hmm.
is not bewildered by this. These changes. Don't let the changes get you down. They're not happening to you. Yes?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How long? We're on time here?
We're okay. Does anybody else have anything before we go on to something else? Well, Hannah?
On the side,
Nice to see you smile, Hannah.
on the bit where you mentioned to be a scientific experiment, you mentioned that we should have some controls in place.
Yeah.
So could I please ask what controls we should?
Well, I mentioned just the basic controls with the first thing is suspend your disbelief in the statements that we make that there's no difference between this sound and Krishna. There's no difference between Krishna and his name. that by chanting Hare Krishna, you're in direct contact with Krishna. Of course, as it goes, if you become a dedicated chanter in this experimental process, then you accept the controls of no meat eating, no fish, no eggs, no gambling, including mental speculation. I don't know which one to say next. I thought, well, I'll leave. So, no meat eating, no gambling. Huh?
No intoxication.
No intoxication. Yeah, there you go. This is a result of intoxication. Too much in the past. I burned out too many sockets. No intoxication and no illicit sex. And then the refinement of the experiment becomes more intense, and the experience of reciprocation is greater. You have to, you have to prove something to Krishna. It's like what we're talking about is the breakup of a relationship and then the re-establishment of that relationship. Krishna didn't break up his relationship with us. We broke up our relationship with him and came to the material world. But he's intervened in that because he knows once we come under the influence of the material energy, we're lost, hopelessly. So he intervenes, and this is an invitation from Krishna. So you take the invitation and accept the guidelines that we're given, and then chant. But coming back to this first step of experimenting with it, you just suspend any disbelief and believe this, act as if this is true, and ask Krishna to reveal himself through this sound vibration. And then he'll take you on a wonderful journey. Can I tell one little story about? So I was being told all this 52 years ago. I didn't make this stuff up to say it today. This is what I was told, and this is what I acted on. But still there's like these lingering, well, is this true? And then everybody says, oh, these Hare Krishnas, they're just brainwashing you. They're a cult. Oh, I know the Hare Krishnas, that's just another cult. I know all about them. People will say all kinds of nonsense to you. Or your friends will just evaporate very quickly, so-called friends. Where did they go? So anyway, I've been visiting the temple and chanting and going to the morning program. And when I first went to the temple, there were Back to Godhead magazines. You don't see Back to Godhead magazine at all really now because it's a subscription thing. But in those days, at one point, 1 million BTGs, Back to Godhead magazines, were being printed every month and being distributed by the devotees on the streets. It'd be great if we had a magazine again. Just anyway, when I first went to the temple, there was a ring-bind folder with about 20 magazines punched into it. And they had these most amazing pictures on the cover of pastimes of Krishna. So many beautiful things I'd never seen before. And then I started reading, there were so many fantastic articles in there. And like, I'm a magpie, so, I collect things. I love to collect things. So, I started collecting the magazines. I think, they had them in stock when I was getting them. getting this pile of magazines. And there was one magazine that I really wanted. It had an article in it about one senior devotee, Srinayananda Goswami, at a university answering questions from students about spirituality and Krishna consciousness. And I was 24. I'd only been out of university for 3 years, so I was still kind of like, I was interested. What's he saying? What are they asking? And it was one of those situations where I was reading it in the temple room in this folder, and then something happened, and I put it aside and went on. And then later I asked the devotees, "Have you got that magazine?" And they said, "Oh, no, we've sold out. We don't have that one." So I said, "All right." And at the same time, devotees were saying to me, "Krishna's in your heart, and he knows everything about you," which is what I was saying before. He's fully aware of you, and he knows everything you want, and everything you're thinking, and everything about you. So this one day I was walking down the street that I lived in, a bright sunny day, and it was nobody else around. It's suburban Melbourne, long street, walking, like no one ahead. I was just happily walking down the street with my bead bag, chanting Hare Krishna. But these thoughts started going through my mind that, well, if this is true, if Krishna is in my heart and he knows everything and he's omnipotent, then if that magazine's available anywhere, he knows where it is and he can get it for me. And I'm thinking like that. And while I'm walking, there was the sidewalk and then some lawn and then the road and little shrubs and trees, and I'm walking along thinking like this. Yeah, that's true. If you want to, what's that? And there on the grass was that magazine,
Wow.
open to that article. I'm like, nobody, there was no one around, no one on the street. And suddenly, at that very moment when I was thinking those things, and there was a doubt in my mind, but I didn't want that doubt to be there, there was that magazine lying on the ground. Wow.
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 Can I tell you a story?
Huh?
I'm new here, but
You're not new, you're old. You've been here before. Krishna's brought you back to pick up where you left off.
2 weeks before I went to see to give me course for the
Radanga.
yeah. Then she told me, I told her 26 I'm going to London to see my dentist, and I will buy one. Then I went there because my husband don't want to come here, so I said okay, forget about it. And I went to a restaurant and still. Then when I came back, there was we took the bus from the train station to go home. 4 monks, never seen 4 monks ever in my life. 4 of them was coming to the bus. So I told him Hare Krishna, and I said, oh my God, there is something that's before. And before that, the first time I came here was a Sunday. Leon told me to come, I came. And the week after I didn't go. And I was in Waitrose, pushing my trolley, taking vegetable. And when I turned the trolley, was a monk here. I said, are you Buddhist? He said, I'm Krishna. I said, oh my God. So each time I tried to pull off, the monk will appear and say, I better come.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Do we have a short talk from one of our congregations?
Vishwa.
Vishwa's gone today.
Who today?
Where is
Vishwa.
Vishwa? I can't
It's
see.